What's good, Commanders fans, and happy Friday. I guess happy cut day for the Commanders. Adam Peters cut a couple of guys here, freeing up some cap space. Him making some big moves today. I would say they're pretty big moves. They're significant moves. I wouldn't say super big moves, but they are significant moves, especially when you release your left tackle. You have to find a plan to replace him. And a lot of these moves kind of remind me when Ron Rivera first came here, like releasing Morgan Moses. But I do want to say shout out to Charles Leno, man. Walter Payton Man of the Year, great guy in the community and all that. A lot of people on Twitter would interact with his wife all the time, but all that stuff doesn't matter. What really matters is what you do on the field. And he's not a bad player. Like, he really is the equivalent of Morgan Moses. He's gonna stay healthy. He's gonna be available. You know, he may have a false start. He was tied with 8th in penalties with 10 this year. He's gonna give up some sacks. He only gave him 3 sacks this year, but Kayvon Thibodeau would eat his lunch. Last year, when we lost to the Giants on Sunday Night Football, he got dominated by Kayvon Thibodeau. Both those games back to back, when we tied with the Giants and then we lost to the Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau had his coming to earth party against him, and then he thanked Charles Leno for helping him get to 10 sacks this year, and he bragged about it to Charles Leno's face, and that was his trash talking. That was his way of trash talking to Charles Leno. But Charles Leno, like I said, nice guy, good guy, and all that stuff. But he's just like Morgan Moses, where he's a solid left tackle, but he is not elite by any means. Kind of just right in the middle. A good guy that is just reliable, that you know is going to be there and be available. He is the guy that Olayed and let Ryan Fitzpatrick get injured and hurt his hip, and he was done for the year. I do remember that. So Charles Leno, I mean, he has some good moments. He has some bad moments. There were moments where he was just standing still and like Heineke snapped the football and just let Kayvon Thibodeau run right past him and have a strip sack on Sunday Night Football. So he had moments like that for sure that we definitely won't forget. But like I said, overall, I think he was a solid player. I do think if somebody decides to sign him, he'll be a solid veteran. And that's about it. I mean, you look at the money, what they save, Adam Peters. Now we have, let's see, how much cap space do we have? We had around like $78 million in cap space. Now we have around like 91. Yeah, we have a league high $91 million in salary cap space after releasing tight end Logan Thomas and offensive tackle Charles Leno. Now, of course, yeah, like I said, we're gonna have to draft a left tackle. We can't play around like Ron Rivera last year, drafting 2 defensive backs back to back. You're going to have to attack the offensive line. Now Nick Gates is released, which, you know, I agree with that move too. He got beat pretty badly against the Giants by Dexter Lawrence. He got dominated, then he got benched, and he's being released. We're only saving like $333,000 for cutting Nick Gates, but you know they just need to move on anyway. He's just not in the future plans, so they definitely need to make that move. But cutting Charles Leno, they freed up. It was $8.25 million of dead cap space of the Commanders, freeing up $7.28 million of 2024 space. So it most likely will not be a post-June 1 cut. They're not going to do that. They're not going to wait that long and wait for that money. They want that money available now so they can sign free agents, obviously, or retain guys, or help sign the draft class and whatnot. So they're going to cut them now. They're not going to wait till June 1st. And then Nick Gates, they're like, okay, we're just going to sign. We're going to release you when the new league year starts. So, yes, we do have a void at the left tackle position. We got to attack it. We either both free agency and in the draft, but I think they may have to trade up into the first round. One of the 2 second-round picks that we have, or one of the 2 third-round picks we have, maybe parlay those picks and trade up into the first round and get a left tackle. I don't see them trading back. I don't agree with trading back at all. Quarterback is the most important position in the game of football. And at pick number 2, you can't pass up on an opportunity like we did a couple years ago when we drafted Chase Young. You just cannot draft a different position. You have to attack the quarterback position. You have to get it right this time. We have to attack the quarterback position. No ifs, ands, or buts. You don't get a second pick of the draft. You have to value that. And there's a lot of times that we've been bad, but we haven't been the second pick of the draft. We usually get like with Ron Rivera, like the 10th pick, the 19th pick, the 11th pick of the draft, or what was Forbes, like the 16th pick or 13th? He was like the 16th pick of the draft or something like that. We don't get the second pick of the draft a lot. So when you get a pick that high and you don't have to just trade up like a lot of teams do, we have the luxury of that, of where we're at to get the second best available quarterback in the draft. You have to take advantage of that. You cannot pass up on that opportunity like we did when we drafted Chase Young a couple years ago. Now, I was on board with drafting Chase Young, but you guys get my point there. So Leno, like I said, thank you for your services. I wish him the best for sure wherever team he goes to. He's had a great career in his NFL life. 7th round pick, made a Pro Bowl, all that stuff. Good player, all that good stuff. So I wish him the best for sure. Let's talk about Logan Thomas here. So releasing him frees up another $6.54 million of cap space This is per spot rack. The Commanders, who have opened up over $13 million of room today, making their way toward $100 million of top 51 space. So Charles Leno, man. Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas was good. That 2020 season, he was dominant with Alex Smith just dumping it off. Heineke throwing the ball to Logan. Kyle Allen throwing the ball to Logan. Like, he had good hands. That was when he had his best hands. That season, transitioning from quarterback to tight end out of Virginia Tech, the Hokie local guy, helped get Scott Turner fired. He did voice his opinion about Eric Bieniemy as well. He was a locker room leader and all that good stuff. The Eagles game where we won and where we made the playoffs, he went up to the rafters. That was a huge catch. Cooking Jalen Smith from the Cowboys, running over him or running past him. He had some good moments, man. It's just unfortunate the whole ACL injury, Yannick Ngakoue going low at his knees, injuring him in that game. And he caught a touchdown pass in that Raiders game, too. And then after that, he just wasn't really the same guy. You know, he had some good games. Like the Bears game, he had like 8 or 9 catches, something ridiculous. In spurts, he would have good games. And then there were some times where he had bricks for hands like a snake, or he just looked old, like the Jets game where he just dropped the pass from Sam Howell and it went up in the air and that was an interception. That was not Sam Howell's fault. That was Logan Thomas' fault. But once again, I do thank Logan Thomas for being a vocal leader, for speaking up a lot, helping get Scott Turner fired, even though it didn't work out after Scott Turner got fired. It's not like we upgraded much, unfortunately. But Logan Thomas, that was the right move, man. And he's just getting older. He's 33 years old now. I still think he can be a serviceable tight end, but he should not be your tight end number one. And we were trotting him out there to be our tight end number one year after year after year. After that 2020 year and then after the knee injury, it was kind of like, okay, he's just not a tight end one anymore. He can make some plays here and there, but no yak ability, no juke ability. Solid hands, and then he'll occasionally fumble on that one sideline like he did against the Bears, and there was another game where he fumbled again on the sideline, and he'll have that occasional drop like he did against the Jets where it will bounce off his hands and possibly get intercepted. So that was the right move there. Got to address the tight end, Cole Turner. Can he play? Can he get in the game? You got to draft a tight end, maybe in the top 4 rounds. 5th round, you draft a tight end. Jatavian Saunders out of Texas, I think he's going to be like a 1st or 2nd round pick, so you probably won't get him in the 2nd round or anything like that. But, tight end is definitely a need. Left tackle's a need. Right tackle, Wiley, are they going to cut him? There's just so many needs on the offensive line. The only really reliable guy we have right now on the offensive line really is Sam Cosmi, because Leno's out, Wiley might be released, Nick Gates just got released. It's Cosmi, and then on the left side is Chris Paul, Sadiq Charles. Is like, you just don't have much there on the offensive line at all. So, like I said, Logan Thomas, wish him the best. I could see him signing somewhere else for like a 1-year deal or something like that. Nick Gates, we don't have to get into too much detail about Nick Gates. He was only here for a year. He'll just be remembered for shoving the guy in the Ravens game, in the preseason game, where we beat them in that game. That's the only really memorable moment I have for Nick Gates. And him just taking off his helmet in a training camp and walking around with no shirt off and stuff like that. But that's really about it, man. Like I said, he got dominated against Dexter Lawrence in that Giants game and he got benched. And he came from the Giants, had the catastrophic injury in FedEx Field with the Giants. And, that's about it. And then they started Tyler Larson. And then Nick Gates had to come back in, and he played better towards the end of the season. So, he's another guy that probably will be picked up on another team just as a backup. But, it's just another Ron Rivera signing. Like, he just bargain bin shopped on the offensive line too much. I know you're not going to sign big-name guys, but he just did a lot of patchwork on the offensive line, honestly, So that's just what you get. You get what you pay for when you bargain bin shop like that. Andrew Wiley and Nick Gates, guys like that. You just kind of got what you paid for, honestly, right there. And then the year before that, Norwell had to release him, and then Trey Turner had to release him. So a lot of the offensive line moves that Ron made, it's unfortunate. You had Brandon Sheriff. I know a lot of people didn't want to pay him and whatnot, but you had Brandon Sheriff. And then you talk about Trent Williams. I know Trent Williams was a whole different story, how that transpired. But you look at the offensive line and what you had to what you got right now, it's like offensive line clearly got worse under Ron Rivera for sure. So that's one of the things that Ron Rivera did wrong while he was here. The construction of the offensive line, he did not do a good job of that at all. And you see just how decimated this offensive line is right now. You're gonna have to really revamp. You really have to bring in 4 new guys. Only person that's really going to be a mainstay on the offensive line is Sam Cosmi. That's about it. But, it's good to have all this cap space. You got to see what you do with it. Are you going to bring back Cam Curl? You're going to bring back Curtis Samuel? Jeremy Reeves, of course, you're going to bring him back. Some people talk about Tressway. He's getting a lot of money, and he might be up for, he might be on a bubble. I highly don't see that happening at all. And then you got to sign your draft class. So those are the big things right there. And then there's a lot of DeAndre Swift smoke going around. I might make a separate video about that, about DeAndre Swift. But there's a lot of smoke about him. There's a lot of rumors. Nothing concrete or anything like that. But there certainly has been a lot of rumors going around about DeAndre Swift. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna fire up what was it? Was it Jet One or a Redskin One or Skin One to start off the Josh Harris campaign. You know, people talking about Josh Harris sitting in the meetings and getting PTSD from Dan Snyder or whatnot. So are they gonna fire up the Jet 2 and go there and get a bunch of free agents now since we have $100 million in cap space? I'm just joking, but yeah, we'll see what they do with the cap space. We'll see what they do. They don't have to spend a lot of it. And Adam Peters already said that he believes in building through the draft rather than free agency. That doesn't mean you don't go out and sign guys and get talent. But I wouldn't expect them to make a lot of big moves this season. But they gotta get a left tackle in here for Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Can't play around with that position. They gotta get a right tackle in here for the new quarterback. They gotta get a center now for the new quarterback, and then a left guard. So you gotta spend money on this offensive line, and then position weapon wise, you know, receivers and stuff like that. We're good on that, honestly. So, you know, we'll see what they do. But if they do cut. What's his name? Andrew Wiley. Let me see here how much it would be. I gotta go to over the cap. So I'm over the cap right now. So let's see how much if they cut Andrew Wiley. His cap number is about 9.6. Dead money 7.8. So you would save $1.58 million if you cut Andrew Wiley, which is not much. So I mean, we'll see what they decide to do, but I think they probably will cut him too. So, but yeah, like I said, shout out to Logan Thomas, man. Wish him the best. Same thing with Leno. All good guys, all likable guys for sure. All likable guys. And yeah, 15. He missed 15 games via injury the past 3 years. Turns 33 this year. Had a great year in 2020 as well. And then Nick Gates only saving $333,000 in cap space. Team 7th highest cap figure when the day began. $5.7 million in dead money to get off the deal. For Nick Gates as well. So, like I said, all these guys, it was definitely time to move on. So, you guys let me know what you guys think about these moves. Adam Peters making some moves for sure to start off the Adam Peters regime and the Josh Harris regime. Let me know some free agents that you guys think they should take a look at as well. Hell's Commanders, have a great night. Peace.